They called it the home code, a secret dua passed down quietly through the words of the mystics. Ibn Arabi once said that every prayer is a seed, but this one, he whispered, was the seed of foundation. It was the prayer of doors opening, of roofs being built not from stone, but from certainty. He taught that whoever recites it not with the tongue, but with faith, will see the earth itself move to make space for their blessing. He said, when a man prays to own a home, he is not asking for walls. He is asking for peace, for a place where the soul can rest. That is why the angels listen closely to this prayer. They know that a home on earth mirrors the home of the heart in heaven. In his writings, Ibn Arabi described that those who recite the home code every night after Isha, with hands open and heart quiet, begin to notice signs, unexpected help, forgotten opportunities, sudden ease in their affairs. It is not the words that build, he wrote, but the faith carried between them. The prayer begins with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, invoking the one who opens all doors. Then the seeker says, O Lord of provision, O sustainer of the poor, O builder of the unseen, plant my foundation where peace lives, and let the walls rise by your permission. Ibn Arabi said those who repeat these words 40 nights in gratitude, not greed, will find that what they ask for begins to move toward them, not as a miracle of chance, but as a response to alignment. For when you live as if the home is already promised, the universe begins to build it around you. And the secret, he said, is this: you do not receive a house because you prayed, you receive it because you became ready to live in what you prayed for. Ibn Arabi taught that the home code was never about bricks or walls, it was about grounding the soul in divine trust. When you repeat this dua, he said, you are not calling for property, you are calling for belonging. He explained that home, in the language of the unseen, is not an address, it is a state where fear cannot enter, and faith becomes furniture for the heart. He told his students, many recite the prayer asking Allah to give them a house. But the wise recite it asking Allah to make them a home for His presence. Once that happens, everything else, doors, land, roofs, follows naturally. It was said that a man once came to him, weary and poor, saying, Master, I have no home. I sleep under the sky. Ibn Arabi replied, then the sky is your first ceiling. Thank Allah for it, and He will give you the next one. The man followed his advice, praying nightly with gratitude instead of despair. Within 40 days, a friend he had long forgotten returned with work and shelter, and by the end of the year, he owned his own small house. Ibn Arabi smiled when he heard the story. Do you see, he said? Allah never delays. He only prepares. The prayer opens the door, but faith is the one who walks through it. He told his students, if you wish to unlock the home code, remember this pattern: gratitude before possession, belief before proof, surrender before structure. When you live that way, the stones of destiny start arranging themselves quietly in your favor. And so he taught the final secret, that the home code is not a spell, but an awakening. The one who recites it daily, with calm heart and unwavering hope, eventually finds that what they were asking for has already surrounded them. The home they sought was being built in their heart first, before appearing on the earth. One night, under the quiet glow of a crescent moon, Ibn Arabi gathered his students and spoke about the final mystery of the home code. Every prayer, he said, creates movement in the unseen world. But this one does something different: it rearranges your destiny. It takes your longing for a home and plants it into the soil of divine timing. He told them that Allah does not deny the seeker who asks sincerely, He only reshapes the moment so that the heart and the blessing meet at the right hour. A house given too soon, he said, can become a burden. A house received with readiness becomes peace. Then he revealed what few ever heard, that the home code must be spoken not in desperation, but in gratitude, as if the walls already exist. Because, he said, when you thank Allah for what has not yet come, you are proving that you already trust His promise. And trust is the true key that unlocks the unseen. He instructed his followers to sit in stillness after reciting the dua, to close their eyes and imagine not the house itself, but the feeling of peace inside it, the sound of morning prayer within its walls, the laughter of family, the calm of belonging. That image, he said, is your signature upon destiny. What you can feel in faith, you can receive in form. Years later, travelers who had once been homeless spoke of miraculous ease, loans forgiven, land granted, paths cleared without effort. When asked how, they would smile and answer, "We recited the prayer of the house, and it found us." For Ibn Arabi had said it long before, "You do not find your home finds you, when your heart is finally ready to live in what you prayed for." As years passed, the home code spread quietly among those who truly believed in the unseen. Travelers carried it across deserts and cities, whispering the prayer at night beside oil lamps and open skies. And everywhere it was spoken with sincerity, something subtle began to shift, doors opened, debts were lifted, strangers became helpers, and forgotten land returned to its rightful hands. Ibn Arabi wrote, "If you recite this prayer and still doubt, your tongue is spoken but your heart has not joined. But if your heart speaks, even once, the earth itself will hear you." He taught that Allah's mercy listens to vibration, not volume. The smallest whisper of faith weighs more than 1,000 loud demands. He said that the home code worked not because of its words, but because it taught surrender. "You do not command Allah to give," he said. "You align yourself with the moment He already decided to give. And in that alignment, the seeker becomes a vessel, no longer chasing blessings, but attracting them." He described that after reciting the prayer, one must act, clean the home they already have, give charity to someone seeking shelter, help a stranger rebuild. Every act of mercy you give, he said, returns as structure in your own life. The roof you build for another becomes the roof that protects you. Ibn Arabi told of a widow in Andalusia who repeated the home code for months without fail. One morning, while feeding birds near a courtyard, a passing merchant overheard her recitation and offered her work in his household. By the end of the year, that same house became hers. When asked how she had found such fortune, she replied, "I only remembered that Allah is the builder. I simply waited while He built." And Ibn Arabi smiled when he heard her story, saying, "That is the secret the world forgets. You are not waiting for your home to be built, it is waiting for you to believe you deserve to live inside it." It was said that in his final years, Ibn Arabi often spoke of the home code not as a hidden formula, but as a divine reminder that every prayer is answered the moment it's spoken, only the heart takes time to understand how. He told his students, "The walls you dream of already exist in the unseen. You are not building, you are remembering." He would sit beneath the olive trees of Damascus, his gaze far beyond the horizon, and say, "There is a moment in the life of every believer when Allah shifts their test into trust. When the one who was pleading for a roof begins to thank Him under the open sky, that is when the unseen begins to construct." Ibn Arabi explained that when the seeker recites the home code every night with love and patience, they awaken the four pillars of divine manifestation: faith, gratitude, action, and trust. Faith plants the seed, gratitude waters it, action clears the weeds, and trust lets it grow unseen until the harvest appears. "The fools dig up the seed to check if it grows," he said. "The wise keep watering the invisible." One evening a young student asked, "Master, what if someone prays this prayer for years and nothing changes?" Ibn Arabi smiled. "Then everything has already changed. The prayer did not give them a house, it gave them the soul to live as one who belongs everywhere." He continued softly, "If you understand the home code, you will see that the truest home is not in stone or land. It is the heart that rests knowing Allah never withholds, only times perfectly. And when your soul reaches that peace, you will see the walls rise, not by your strength, but by His design. Then he closed his eyes and whispered, "The believer does not chase the home. The home chases the believer who has become grateful enough to receive it." And those who heard him that night said that even the wind around the courtyard seemed to pause, as if the unseen itself bowed to the truth of his words. After that night, many of his students began to live differently. They still recited the home code, but their tone had changed, no longer begging, no longer rushing, just trusting. They would rise before dawn, whisper the words, then sit in silence, feeling as though the whole universe was listening with them. Ibn Arabi taught that this silence was not emptiness, it was the space where creation takes shape. When you pray, he said, your words rise like light. But when you trust, the light descends back as form. That is how prayers become reality. He warned them not to look for signs too quickly. A home is not built in a day, he said, and the foundation you do not see is more important than the roof you dream of. Allah is building something far stronger than walls, He is building your certainty. And indeed, stories began to spread. A poor man who recited the prayer every night found work he never expected. A family that had lived in fear of eviction suddenly received mercy from their landlord. A traveler stranded in a foreign city was offered shelter by a stranger who became like a brother. All of them said the same thing: the prayer didn't just change our life, it changed our heart first. Ibn Arabi would smile when he heard such tales. That is the secret, he said. The home code does not move the world toward you. It moves you toward the world that was already prepared for you. He told his final group of students, repeat it until you no longer ask when. Repeat it until you no longer fear if. Repeat it until the words no longer sound like hope but like remembrance, the remembrance of a promise written long before you were born. And then, with a voice soft like wind, he said, when your prayer becomes gratitude, your waiting ends. Because what you thank Allah for with full faith must appear, it has nowhere else to go. That night, as he walked away from the gathering, the moonlight followed him across the courtyard. And those who watched swore that the sound of his steps was like the echo of a builder laying the first stone of a home, not on earth, but in every heart that still believed. And so, as the years faded into centuries, the home code lived on, whispered by travelers, mothers, merchants, and seekers who had nothing but faith left to give. Some recited it under roofs of gold, others beneath the open sky, yet all felt the same quiet warmth after each prayer, the certainty that they were already home, even before the walls appeared. It was said that Ibn Arabi's last words about the home code were not written in any book, but spoken softly to a disciple as dawn broke. Do not pray to receive, he said. Pray to remember that you have already been given. He smiled and looked toward the horizon, where light began to touch the domes of Damascus. Home is not something you enter, he whispered. It is something that awakens inside you when your soul finally rests in Allah's promise. And with that, he closed his eyes, and peace filled the room like fragrance. His students stood in silence, realizing the full meaning of what he had left them, that the prayer they had been reciting for houses and land was, in truth, a doorway to contentment. For Ibn Arabi had always said, the one who carries faith builds without hands. The one who trusts owns without title. And the one who thanks before receiving has already arrived home.